The official story of why Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire fired Candace Owens was because Candace Owens just wasn't bringing in enough money. Apparently, they said it was all because of financial reasons. It was nothing to do with what she said, the comments that she was making. That's the official story. And in this video, Candace Owens addresses that official story of Candace Owens not making the Daily Wire enough money, which honestly, her numbers alone on her YouTube channel address that official story enough. But she takes that on head on in this clip right here from today's episode of Candace Owens' new show. Let's check out this clip here of Candace Owens addressing the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro saying that they fired Candace Owens because she just simply wasn't bringing in enough money to the company. Let's check this out.
And lastly, we have former CNN host Mark Lamont Hill. Now, Mark Lamont Hill and we have an interesting background. He came on my show when I was on PragerU, and we heavily debated the transgendered issue. And, you know, people made fun of him on the internet for not being able to say what a woman was or what a man was or what the differences were. And so we're definitely not on the same side of the political aisle. But you know what I think? I think Mark Lamont Hill, you won't admit it, but I think over the years, I've turned him into a Standis. I think so. I think there are, and he will say this in the clip that I'm going to show you, at least some aspects about my personality and my grit that he appreciates. And so I wanted to just very quickly show this clip that he did on his personal YouTube page because I saw it and I was actually very grateful that he was commending our success. So take a listen.
So they thought that they could break and destroy Candace Owens. And instead, she's on Piers Morgan this week. She's on YouTube. She's trending on Spotify, Apple, all this stuff. Now, let me be clear. This is not an encouragement to go out and believe what Candace Owens believes. I don't believe what Candace Owens believes. And I don't think you should watch stuff that is objectionable. But I got to tell you, everybody has a right to free speech. Everybody has a right to put their ideas in the public square and let the best ideas win. And they were trying to silence her ideas. So the fact that she not only didn't get silenced ultimately, but she came up and is beating the very people who they thought could control her voice because of their footprint. There's something good about that. There's something, no, let me just say good. That's not the right word. There's something poetic about that. There's something just frankly hilarious about that.
Thank you, Mark Lamont Hill. I really appreciated that. And it's actually
very rare to hear a leftist, especially like a CNN leftist, who's like a, you know, if you're working for CNN, you got to be a hardcore left, like you're a woke leftist. And if you're a woke leftist, you got to take everything to the maximum extreme that you possibly can when it comes to being a leftist. So it's rare to actually hear them say that, you know, a leftist say that free speech is important and the marketplace of ideas is important. Most of the time, they don't want that. And you see, you know, basically all the censorship that goes on social media platforms, it's from leftists. You know, there's not many right wingers nowadays. And I'm not saying that this never happened in the past. It's not been always like this. The side that is normally behind and losing in the discourse that has the facts on their side, they're not going to, that doesn't have the facts on their side, are going to be the ones that censor the other side. So it's rare to hear a leftist nowadays not advocate for censorship and say that there should be a free marketplace of ideas and may the best ideas win. So that was actually refreshing to hear.
There's more gratitude that should be shared here. It is not just because of me and my determination, but really it's because of the people back at home that watch this show every single day all across the world. Obviously, the live chat, we're always going crazy trying to get 10K watching live. You guys believed in me. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have a platform if it wasn't for each and every one of you. You guys went to clubcandace.com and bought your Standis mugs, which, by the way, we should be shipping those out within the next 2 weeks. So just stand by as we have a lot of orders that we are filling. And you guys are basically investing in a startup. We didn't know how this was going to go, and it is going amazingly. So I just kind of wanted to wrap before we get into comments by just telling you from the bottom of my heart how grateful we are. You know, the whole team, we are just so grateful that you stood by us through those turbulent times. All right, now jumping into some of your comments regarding episodes past. Now,
it is awesome to see even leftists, and I'm glad that Candace is grateful and she recognizes that all the people that have been supporting her, you know, are a big reason, obviously, why she's getting so many views and why she was a financial success for the Daily Wire. But now that she's left the Daily Wire, so many people have rallied around her that she's even more of a financial success. I think she's way bigger than she would have been if she stayed there. So far, it's really worked out for her. Do you guys believe the official story, by the way, of Candace Owens was fired for financial reasons? I feel like that is the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro thinking that we're stupid, or I mean, at this point, if you're still following the Daily, like if you're still a fan of the Daily Wire and you support them 100%, you probably do have a low IQ, or you're just so far into the cult, you're so far down that rabbit hole of being part of that cult that you just don't want to accept that you've been wrong this whole time. That could also be it. I think that official story that they're trying to put out there that Candace Owens was just costing the company money is not really to convince us, the people who kind of know the truth of what's going on, more to convince the Daily Wire fans who no matter what they do, basically are going to be Daily Wire fans, and they just want to give them a story to cling on to, something to believe in that sense. It's like, oh, they didn't fire Candace because they don't like her speech, and it's not that the Daily Wire doesn't actually care about free speech. The Daily Wire doesn't actually not care about actually being America first. It's because Candace Owens was just losing them money. Of course, they have to make money, right? They can't pay Candace Owens if she's not making them money. That's what the Daily Wire fans are going to think. I think it's kind of the Jeremy Boring and Ben Shapiro statement of, oh, Candace was just losing us money, that's why we had to fire her. I think that's more to just to give the Daily Wire fans something to latch on to and to be able to tell other people whenever other people criticize in arguments the things that the Daily Wire, the way the Daily Wire handled the entire Candace Owens situation. Candace also talks about some other very, very interesting things that I hope we're good to show here. I'm pretty sure we can. But Candace talks about some very interesting censorship and some other questions around 9/11, which I found very, very interesting, and I wanted to share in this clip as well.
Lawyers for the 5 men and the Israeli government strongly deny.
These 5 Israelis were not involved in any intelligence operation in the United States. The story is simply false.
In the end, the FBI concluded there was no evidence that any of the 5 men had advance knowledge of the September 11th plot. After 71 days, the 5 Israelis were deported, leaving some ruffled feathers among both U.S. and Israeli officials.
All right, guys, so nothing to see there. Obviously, you'd be a conspiracy theorist if you had any questions about that. You actually would be worse. You'd probably be anti-Semite if you had any questions about a foreign government overseas that had people.
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Who were attached to their intelligence apparatus, who were celebrating and taking photos as the towers burned and American citizens were dying. Yeah, don't be any of those things. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, we're talking about it first and foremost because America forever changed after 9/11. We, in my view, stopped being a free country. For fear, we gave up freedom. It's really difficult to imagine the world prior to 9/11. Imagine people that were just able to go to the airport, were not treated like they had done something wrong, didn't have to take their belts off and their shoes off and their quarters out of their.
How do you guys feel about that? I'm always mixed about this, you know, especially in the world that we live in today. It's always hard to tell, like, are these fear-mongering tactics? They want you to feel like all those things are necessary all the time. In the world that we live in today, it is a crazy world. At least that's what I think. Maybe I'm psyoped into thinking that. I do think it's a crazy world. Not necessarily that I think that somebody's going to go into the airport and hijack another airplane and fly it into some more buildings. Not necessarily. I'm not like scared of that on a daily basis, but I do feel safer when I'm going into crowds, like whether it's a sporting event or a concert or anything, you know, a crowd of people, when there is like metal detectors present. I don't know if maybe I'm like an anti-American. I don't know. I feel safer because I know that I'm not doing anything wrong. You know, I know that if everybody was, you know, allowed to carry guns into every single event, I know my gun's not going to do anything that it's not supposed to do, right? But I don't trust literally anyone else in the room that I don't know. And there's so many people, there's so many opportunities for people to get drunk, get mad, emotional, and just do something that they can never take back. I would, you know, it's tough. Whenever you're going into events like that with groups of people, I don't mind there being metal detectors and people patting people down. I don't mind it. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm anti-American for saying that. I don't know. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. Like I said, I'm not scared of people hijacking airplanes on a daily basis, but there are a lot of shootings. Not even just like mass shootings, you know, anything like that. Just shootings in general. There's like the crime rate is going absolutely crazy. So it's becoming very normalized, you know, in certain cultures, and I don't feel safe unless there's metal detectors and stuff. I don't feel safe at all. Even in movie theaters, I don't feel safe. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm ultra paranoid, but literally in movie theaters, there's not even a point in me going because I can't even enjoy it anymore. you know, because every time I hear somebody move a bag, I'm just watching, like, what are they doing with their bag? I'm just constantly looking at everybody else around me and what's going on. So going to events with a lot of metal detectors, a lot of security, stuff like that, it makes me feel safer personally. But maybe that's like the opposite of what most people out there think, because a lot of people, like Candace Owens is saying right here, they completely disagree with me that 9/11, and I'm young, I'm 25, so I lived a few years before 9/11, but I didn't live enough to actually know what life was like before. So I was born into this post 9/11 world basically. So I don't know what it was like before. So maybe that's kind of like where the difference is, where people like Candace Owens and probably a lot of you watching completely disagree with me and think that all these metal detectors and patting people down and trying to keep people from bringing firearms into certain places, that's a bad thing. Whereas I think it's, personally, just selfishly, it makes me feel safer. So I like it. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this whole situation. Mostly, this video was about what Candace Owens was saying, addressing the rumors and the official statement from the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro that she was fired for financial reasons because she wasn't bringing in enough money. And even leftists on CNN are admitting that that's just not true. I mean, you can go look at her numbers on YouTube, and that's just not true at all. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking about this whole Candace Owens versus the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro situation.